My wife left me for her ex, and my daughter called him the ideal father, until I exposed the truth and destroyed her fantasy. I'm 34, been married for 17 years to a woman I'll call Ashley. We've got a daughter, Maya, who's 16. I work as an electrical contractor for big industrial sites, dealing with high voltage systems that could turn you into barbecue if you mess up. It's dangerous work, but the money's solid enough that we had a decent house in a nice neighborhood. Nothing fancy, just comfortable. The kind of life you build when you actually give a damn about your family. We met young. I was 17, she was 16. High school sweethearts turned teenage parents when Ashley got pregnant senior year. Most people told us we were idiots, that we'd never make it, that teenage marriages always crash and burn. But we proved them wrong, or so I thought. I busted my back getting certified as an electrician, while Ashley stayed home with Maya. Worked double shifts, took every overtime opportunity, climbed my way up from apprentice to journeyman to master electrician. By 25, I was running jobs. By 30, I had my own crew. We weren't rich, but we were stable. House in a safe neighborhood. Good schools. Family vacations every summer. The whole package. Ashley worked part-time at a salon, mostly for social interaction, not because we needed the money. She'd cut hair, do nails, gossip with clients. It made her happy, so I never complained. Figured everyone needs something outside the home. I was working 60-hour weeks sometimes, especially during busy seasons. Industrial electrical work doesn't have a clock. You finish the job when it's done, not when the timer hits 5 p.m. But that was the trade-off. I sacrificed time so they could have security. So Maya could have opportunities I never had. Private school, dance lessons, soccer leagues, the car she got for her 16th birthday. All of it came from those long days installing circuit breakers and running conduit. So there I am at this job site about 30 minutes from home, sweating through my shirt, installing heavy-duty circuit breakers in this factory. My crew's taking lunch, but I'm trying to finish up this one panel so we can test it after break. I'm in the zone, focused, when my phone rings. It's Kevin, my neighbor. Kevin's not the type to call during work hours. We're friendly enough, grab coffee occasionally, watch the game sometimes, but not close enough to be calling each other randomly on a Tuesday afternoon. I answer already knowing something's wrong. My neighbor doesn't do casual weekday check-ins. He sounds panicked when he starts talking. Says I need to get home right now. My stomach immediately drops to my work boots. I'm thinking fire, break-in, something happened to Maya. Then he tells me there's a U-Haul truck in front of my house, like a big 26-footer. Says 3 guys are loading furniture into it, and Ashley's there supervising the whole thing. He thought maybe we were moving and didn't tell him, but something seemed off about the whole situation. My brain just short-circuits. I'm standing there in this factory holding a screwdriver, trying to process what he's saying. A U-Haul, loading our furniture, in the middle of a Tuesday while I'm at work? None of it makes sense. I tell Kevin I'll be there in 20 and basically sprint to my supervisor. Tell him there's an emergency at home, possibly a robbery in progress. The guy takes one look at my face and just nods. Doesn't even ask questions. Just tells me to go. I broke every speed limit getting home. The whole drive, my mind's racing through possibilities. Was this some organized daytime robbery? Was Ashley being forced to help at gunpoint? Did she have some kind of mental break? Nothing added up. As I screech into our neighborhood, I can see the U-Haul from the end of the block. Big truck parked half on our lawn. And sure enough, there's Ashley in yoga pants and a tank top, holding a clipboard, looking completely calm, while strangers carry our furniture out of our house. But what really gets my blood boiling is this tall guy in designer sunglasses and a polo shirt. He's pointing and directing the movers like he owns the place. Standing on my property, giving orders about my stuff. I slam on the brakes, throw my truck in park, and jump out so fast I don't even close the door. I storm right up to polo shirt guy and get in his face. Demand to know what he thinks he's doing. This clown barely looks at me, just glances over with this annoyed expression and tells me to mind my business. I don't remember consciously deciding to hit him. It's like my body moved on autopilot. My fist connected with his jaw so hard I felt the impact shoot all the way up to my shoulder. He went down like a sack of bricks, sunglasses flying off, blood already trickling from his lip. I was on him in a second, just blind with rage. 17 years of marriage, working 60-hour weeks, never even looked at another woman. And here's this random guy stealing my things in broad daylight. I'm yelling at him, landing punch after punch. The movers just stand there watching, not even trying to stop me. With one hand still gripping his collar, I pull out my phone and dial 911. Tell the dispatcher there's a robbery at my house, and I've got one of them subdued. Give them my address and hang up. That's when I hear Ashley screaming. She drops her clipboard and runs over, shoving me hard enough that I actually lose my grip on the guy. She drops to her knees beside him, checking his face, wiping blood from his nose with her sleeve, looking at him like, that's when it clicks. I ask if she knows this jerk, already knowing the answer but needing to hear it. Ashley looks up at me and I'll never forget the expression on her face. Not guilt, not shame, annoyance. Like I'm the one causing problems here. She tells me his name is Blake, and he's her boyfriend. Time stops. My ears start ringing. 17 years. A lifetime together. And this is how I find out. Before I can even process what's happening, my foot connects with Blake's ribs. Hard. He groans and curls up. Then I kick him again. The sound he makes would have been hilarious in any other situation. I'm shouting at Ashley now, asking what the hell this is. She's my wife, and she's moving our stuff out with her boyfriend. I look at the U-Haul, then back at her. Just leaving without even telling me? Taking half our things like it's nothing? She stands up, brushing dirt off her knees. Says she was going to call me after. Didn't want a scene. Like she wasn't just blowing up our entire life without even having the decency to give me a heads up. The cops show up before I can really lose it. 2 cruisers, lights flashing. The neighbors are all out on their porches by this point, watching the show. This big cop immediately gets between me and Blake, who's still on the ground moaning, demands to know what's going on. I tell him I'm the homeowner, got a call from my neighbor about people loading my furniture, came home to find this guy directing the movers. My wife apparently decided to leave me and take half our stuff without telling me. The officer looks at Ashley and asks if I'm her husband. She nods, still looking annoyed. He asks if she's removing items from the house. She says she's taking her half, like it's the most obvious thing in the world. The cop sighs. Tells her she can't just take things from the marital home without a court order. Until a judge orders the assets to be split, she can't legally remove furniture or major possessions. Ashley's face goes from annoyed to shocked. She can't believe what she's hearing. The officer explains that what she's doing could technically be considered theft. Her mouth drops open. Theft? It's her stuff too. But the law doesn't work that way. She needs to go through proper legal channels. By this time, the second cop is helping Blake up. Dude's face is already swelling, blood smeared across his chin. He's giving me the death glare, but wisely keeps his mouth shut. Ashley demands to know what she's supposed to do. The officer says she can take personal effects. Clothes, toiletries, items that are clearly hers alone. But the furniture, electronics, shared property, all that stays until it's sorted out legally. She looks like she's about to argue, but the cop's expression makes it clear this isn't up for debate. He tells her to have the movers start unloading everything back into the house. Ashley's face goes red. She looks at Blake, then at me, then at the cop. Asks how long this is going to take? The officer shrugs. Depends on how fast her people work, but nothing leaves this property until it's all back inside. She turns to Blake, who's still holding his swollen face, and tells him to get the movers started. Blake looks at me nervously, probably worried I'm going to jump him again, then shuffles over to the truck. The cop then turns to me, asks if I want to press charges for the attempted theft. I think about it for a second. Part of me wants to see Ashley in handcuffs, but the smarter move is to handle this through divorce court, where I can really make it hurt. I tell him no, as long as everything gets put back. He nods, says that's probably wise, then asks about Blake. Do I want to press assault charges? I look over at Blake, who's watching me nervously while directing the movers. The guy's face looks like ground beef. He's probably got a concussion. And honestly, I got my hits in. Pressing charges would just tie me up in court for months. I tell the cop no on that too. Just want this guy off my property. The officer seems satisfied with that. He goes over to Blake and has a conversation I can't hear, but I see Blake nodding rapidly. Then the cops stick around while the movers start hauling everything back inside. It takes almost 2 hours to get it all back in. Ashley doesn't say a word to me the entire time. Just stands there with her arms crossed, glaring at everyone. When the last piece of furniture is back in the house, she grabs a bag I'm assuming has her clothes and personal stuff, and leaves with Blake without saying anything. I watch them drive off in Blake's Audi. Then I just stand there in my driveway, looking at my house, trying to process what just happened. Kevin comes over, puts a hand on my shoulder, tells me he's sorry, asks if I need anything. I thank him for the heads up, tell him I'm fine, then head inside. The house is a mess. Furniture in wrong rooms. Stuff piled everywhere. But it's all still here. That's something. I sit down on the couch that was almost stolen and pull out my phone. First call is to a divorce lawyer whose number I found online. Get an appointment for the next morning. Second call is to my bank. I freeze all our joint accounts. Third call is to the credit card companies. Cancel all shared cards. By the time I'm done making calls, it's almost 6 p.m. That's when I realize Maya isn't home yet. She should have been back from school hours ago. I text her asking where she is. She responds saying she's at a friend's house studying. I tell her to come home. We need to talk. She says she'll be home in an hour. I spend that hour pacing around the house, trying to figure out how to tell my daughter that her mother just tried to abandon us. When Maya finally walks in, she takes one look at my face and knows something's wrong. I tell her to sit down. Then I explain everything. The U-Haul, Blake, the cops, all of it. I'm watching her face while I talk, expecting shock or tears. But what I see is something else. Guilt. She's not surprised at all. That's when it hits me. I ask her straight up if she knew. The silence that follows tells me everything. She starts crying, saying Mom made her promise not to tell. Said it would be better this way. Less drama, less painful. I'm sitting there realizing my own daughter was in on this. Helped keep this secret while Ashley planned to rob me blind and leave. I ask Maya how long she knew. She says a few months. Ashley had been seeing Blake, told Maya they were in love, that he was her real soulmate. Said she made a mistake marrying me, that she'd been young and didn't know what she wanted. Blake was successful, charming, everything she should have had. And apparently Maya bought into this fairy tale completely. She stops crying and actually looks angry at me. Says Blake treated Mom right, took her nice places, made her happy. Things I apparently didn't do. Took her to fancy restaurants I couldn't afford. Bought her jewelry I would have called wasteful. Listened to her dreams about travel and adventure while I was focused on mortgage payments and college funds. The practical stuff, the boring stuff, the stuff that actually matters but doesn't feel romantic. Maya goes on about how Blake showed up to her soccer games and actually paid attention. How he'd take her and Ashley out for expensive dinners afterward. How he'd ask about her day and remember the details. How he made them both feel special, like they were the center of his world. Meanwhile, I was the guy who came home exhausted, grabbed a quick dinner, and fell asleep on the couch. The guy who missed recitals because of emergency service calls. The guy who said no to expensive vacations because we had bills to pay. I'm just staring at my daughter like I don't even know her. This kid I raised. This kid whose entire life I funded. And she's looking at me like I'm the villain in this story. I ask her what she means by that. Maya launches into this whole thing about how I'm always at work, never home for dinner, missed her school events. How Blake showed up and actually paid attention to her. How he took her and Ashley out for expensive dinners. How he made them both feel special. But here's what she doesn't mention. She doesn't mention that Blake had no responsibilities. No mortgage. No sick kid at 3 a.m. No aging parents who needed help. No real job where people depended on him to keep the power on. Blake had money from his investment firm and time to blow because he answered to nobody. Must be nice. Meanwhile, I'm the one who stayed up all night when Maya had pneumonia at 8, who taught her to ride a bike and drive a car, who helped with homework even when I was dead tired, who never missed a single child support payment or expense because providing for your kid isn't optional. I feel like I've been punched in the chest. I've been working 60-hour weeks to pay for this house, her private school, her car, her entire life. And she's mad because I missed some soccer games? I kept my voice level and asked if Blake was paying for anything. The house? The bills? Her school? Her car insurance? Maya goes quiet. Of course he wasn't. He was just the fun guy who showed up for the good parts while I handled all the actual responsibilities. I tell her that's what a father does. He provides. He sacrifices. He works the long hours so his family can have a good life. But apparently that makes me the bad guy. Maya starts crying again. Says Blake treated her like a real dad should. That he listened to her, gave her advice, actually cared about her feelings. I asked when all this started. She says Mom ran into Blake at the gym about 8 months ago. He was her high school boyfriend, the one before me. They started talking, got coffee, and it escalated from there. Blake's divorced, no kids, runs some kind of investment firm, has money to burn, and was happy to throw it at Ashley and Maya. I sit there processing this. 8 months. My wife's been having an affair for 8 months. My daughter's been lying to me for months. And I had no clue. I was too busy working to notice, too trusting to question anything. I asked Maya if she really thought this was okay. If she thought her mother abandoning our marriage and trying to steal our belongings was the right thing to do. She gets defensive, says Mom deserves to be happy, that she wasted her youth on me, that Blake makes her feel alive again. I point out that Mom is 34 years old, not 60. She didn't waste anything. She made a choice to marry me, have a child, build a life. And now she's throwing it all away for some high school fantasy. But Maya's completely bought into Ashley's narrative. She actually says Blake is better than me. More successful, more attentive, More everything. I ask if Blake knows she's 16, if he knows that getting involved with a married woman with a teenage daughter comes with complications. Maya says Blake loves her like his own, that he told her she could call him dad if she wanted, that he'd be there for her in ways I never was. That's when something inside me breaks. Not in a sad way, in a cold, calculating way. If my daughter and my wife want to burn this family down for some fantasy, I'm going to show them exactly who they're dealing with. I stand up and tell Maya she needs to make a choice. She can stay here with me, following my rules, or she can go live with her mother and Blake. But she can't have both. She can't live in my house while supporting the man who's destroying our family. Maya looks shocked, says I can't do that. I tell her I absolutely can. This is my house. I pay for everything. And I'm not going to sit here while my own daughter treats me like garbage because some rich guy bought her a few dinners. She starts yelling that I'm being unfair, that I'm trying to control her, that this is why mom left me. I stay calm. Tell her mom left because she's selfish and wants to relive her high school glory days, that Blake is having his midlife crisis and mom's caught up in it. But reality's going to hit eventually. Blake's going to realize that a woman with a teenage daughter and an ex-husband isn't as fun as he thought. The excitement will wear off. And then what? Maya says I'm wrong, that Blake really loves them, that they're going to be a real family. I tell her fine, go be a real family, but don't come crying to me when it falls apart. She storms off to her room, slams the door. I hear her on the phone, probably calling Ashley. An hour later, Ashley shows up, furious. She comes into the house without knocking, starts yelling about how I can't threaten Maya, how I'm manipulating her, using her against Ashley. I don't raise my voice. Just tell Ashley that Maya made her choice when she decided to lie to me for months, that she helped you plan to abandon this family, that she's been spending time with Blake while bad-mouthing me. So yeah, she can go live with you if that's what she wants. But she's not going to live here and disrespect me. Ashley says I'm being cruel, that Maya's just a kid caught in the middle. I point out that Ashley put her in the middle by involving her in the affair, that Ashley destroyed this family, not me. Ashley goes quiet, then asks what I want, what it'll take for me to let this go, not tell Maya's grandparents, not make this ugly. I tell her I want a divorce, full custody of Maya, the house, and she can have Blake. That's it. Non-negotiable. Ashley's face goes pale, says she can't agree to that Maya wants to be with her. I shrug. Tell her Maya can choose. But if she chooses Blake and Ashley, she's choosing to give up the life I've provided. No more private school, no more car, no more college fund. Because I'm not paying for a kid who thinks I'm worthless. Ashley calls me vindictive. Says I'm punishing Maya for her mistakes. I tell her she's right. This is her mistake, and there are consequences. Maya comes out of her room, bags packed, says she's going with Ashley. I don't try to stop her. Just tell her she's welcome to come back when she realizes what she's giving up. They both leave. The house is empty, quiet, and I feel nothing. The next morning, I meet with the divorce lawyer. She's tough, no nonsense, exactly what I need. I tell her everything. The affair, the attempted theft, Maya's involvement. She takes notes, asks questions, then lays out my options. Says I have a strong case. Ashley's affair gives me grounds for fault divorce. The attempted removal of property shows intent to defraud. Maya's old enough to choose where she lives, but the court will consider what's in her best interest. The lawyer explains the process in detail. File for divorce. Serve Ashley. Discovery phase where we gather financial documents. Mediation attempts. Then trial if we can't settle. Could take months, could get ugly. Ashley will try to paint herself as the victim, the unhappy wife who felt neglected, the mother who just wanted happiness. Courts eat that up sometimes. But we've got evidence. Text messages between Ashley and Blake that Maya provided, bank statements showing expensive purchases Ashley made without telling me, the police report from the attempted property removal, the whole paper trail. The lawyer files for divorce that day, serves Ashley with papers at her salon, right in front of her coworkers and clients. Ashley calls me screaming, says I humiliated her, made a scene. I remind her she literally tried to rob me blind with a U-Haul and her boyfriend, so maybe hold the lecture on appropriate behavior. We also file for a restraining order against Blake, prohibiting him from coming near my property. Within a week, the restraining order is granted. Blake's now legally banned from my house. Ashley's furious. Says I'm being petty, that Blake has nothing to do with the divorce. I point out that Blake has everything to do with the divorce. He's the reason we're here. He's the homewrecker who thought he could walk into my life and steal my family. The restraining order isn't petty. It's strategic. Keeps him away from Maya. Keeps him from influencing the situation further. forces Ashley to actually deal with reality instead of living in fantasy land with her high school boyfriend. Maya stays with Ashley and Blake for about 3 weeks. I don't call, don't text, just wait. It's the hardest 3 weeks of my life, wondering if my daughter's okay, if Blake's treating her right, if Ashley's realizing what a mistake she made. But I know that reaching out would be seen as weakness, as me caving, and I'm done being the one who always caves. So I wait, and I focus on my work, on getting my life in order, on accepting that maybe Maya made her choice and I have to live with it. Then, one night around 11 p.m., I get a call from Maya. She's crying so hard I can barely understand her. Says Blake isn't who she thought he was, that he's been getting angry a lot over nothing, snapping at Ashley over small things like dishes in the sink or dinner not being ready on time. Turns out Blake has a temper, a real one. And now that the honeymoon phase is over, his real personality is showing through all that charm and money. Maya tells me Blake and Ashley had a huge fight that night. Something about Ashley spending too much money on groceries. Blake lost it, started yelling, threw a plate against the wall, grabbed Ashley's arm hard enough to leave marks. Maya tried to intervene, and Blake shoved her. Not hard enough to knock her down, but hard enough to scare her. Hard enough to make her realize this wasn't the fairy tale perfect family she'd been promised. She asks if she can come home, voice small and scared. Like a little kid again instead of the teenager who told me Blake was more of a father than I'd ever been. Part of me wants to say no, wants to let her sit in the consequences of her choice. But she's my kid, and no matter how angry I am, I'm not going to leave her in a dangerous situation to prove a point. I pick her up an hour later. Ashley's place is a mess. Broken plate on the floor. Blake's nowhere to be seen. Probably out drinking or cooling off or whatever guys like him do when they lose control. Ashley's sitting on the couch with an ice pack on her arm, looking small and defeated. She doesn't say anything when I walk in, just watches as Maya grabs her stuff. On the way out, Ashley asks if we can talk. I tell her there's nothing to talk about. She made her bed. Now she gets to sleep in it. Maya's got bruises on her arm from where Blake grabbed her. Finger-shaped marks that make my blood boil. I drive straight to the police station instead of going home. File a report. They take photos, document everything, ask Maya questions about what happened. She tells them the whole story. How perfect Blake seemed at first. How he changed once they moved in. How tonight wasn't even the first time he'd gotten physical, just the first time it scared her enough to call me. The officers are professional about it. Say they'll follow up. That Blake will probably face charges for assault. Then, I take Maya home. We sit down and have a long talk. She apologizes. Says she was stupid. That Blake seemed perfect, but it was all an act. That Ashley's miserable now. That she made a huge mistake. I tell Maya I forgive her, but things are going to be different now. She's going to show me respect. She's going to contribute to this household. And she's going to understand that being a parent isn't about being fun. It's about being there when it matters. She agrees. Says she gets it now. That Blake was all flash and no substance. While I was the one actually taking care of her, the divorce proceeds. Ashley tries to fight it at first, but once the evidence of the affair comes out, her lawyer advises her to settle. She doesn't have a leg to stand on. The court documents lay it all out. Text messages between her and Blake that Maya provided. Bank statements showing expensive purchases Ashley made without telling me. Restaurant charges, hotel stays, jewelry I never saw her wear at home. The whole paper trail of deception. Ashley's lawyer tries to spin it. Says she was unhappy in the marriage. That I neglected her emotional needs. That Blake filled a void I created. But my lawyer shuts that down fast. Points out that being unhappy doesn't give you the right to commit adultery or attempt to steal marital assets. That if Ashley was so miserable, she should have filed for divorce before starting a relationship with someone else. Should have had an adult conversation instead of sneaking around for 8 months. I get the house, primary custody of Maya, Mary. Ashley gets visitation rights and has to pay child support since I make more. The settlement takes about 4 months to finalize. 4 months of Ashley trying every angle to avoid responsibility. Claiming Blake manipulated her. That she was going through a midlife crisis. That I should forgive her because we'd been together so long. But the judge doesn't care about excuses. Just the facts. And the facts say she cheated, tried to steal property, and involved our minor daughter in the affair. During that time, Ashley and Blake's relationship implodes. Turns out Blake's got anger issues. Real ones. The kind that don't show up until you're actually living together and dealing with real life instead of sneaking around for hotel hookups and fancy dinners. Ashley ends up with a black eye one night. Finally sees what Maya and I tried to tell her. That Blake's charm was a mask. That underneath was someone controlling and volatile. Someone who saw her as a conquest, not a partner. She leaves Blake, files for a restraining order. Blake gets arrested for violating it a few weeks later. Shows up at her work demanding to talk. Makes a scene in front of customers. Cops haul him away. He spends a month in county lockup. Karma's got a weird sense of timing, but it rarely forgets where people live. Ashley tries to reconcile. Shows up at the house one night, crying. Says she made a mistake, that she never stopped loving me, that Blake was a fantasy that blew up in her face. She asks if we can try again, if I can forgive her. I look at her standing on my porch, mascara running down her face, looking broken, and I feel nothing. Tell her no. That ship sailed, hit an iceberg, and sank. She begs, says she'll do anything, go to counseling, cut off Blake completely, prove she's changed. I tell her I'm not interested, that she showed me who she really is, and I believe her. She asks about Maya, says she wants to see her more. I tell her that's between her and Maya, but she needs to get her life together first, get stable housing, get a job that isn't dependent on tips, actually show up when she says she will. Ashley nods, wipes her tears, and leaves. That's the last real conversation we have. 6 months later, and I'm doing better than I ever thought possible. Got promoted at work. Now I'm running my own crew, installing electrical systems in new commercial buildings. The promotion came with a significant raise and better hours. I'm not working 60-hour weeks anymore. Usually cap out around 45, sometimes 50, if we're on a tight deadline. But the difference is night and day. I'm home for dinner most nights. Can actually help Maya with homework. Have energy left at the end of the day to do more than just crash on the couch. The money's better too. Good enough that I started investing. Set up a proper retirement account. Maxed out Maya's college fund. Even have enough left over to actually enjoy life a bit. Nothing crazy. Not Blake-level spending. But enough to take Maya out for nice dinners occasionally. Enough to not stress about every bill. Enough to feel like the years of grinding actually paid off. Maya moved in with me full-time about 2 months after the incident with Blake. Ashley tried to fight for custody at first, but her lawyer talked her down. Told her that with her unstable living situation and Maya's clear preference, she didn't have a case. Ashley's working at a different salon now. The old one let her go after the drama. She's renting a room from a friend, barely making ends meet. The fairy tale didn't exactly work out like she planned. Maya's doing better in school. Her grades went up once she moved back. Turns out living in a stable environment where you're not constantly worried about your mom's boyfriend losing his temper is good for academic performance. Who knew? She's talking about colleges now. Wants to study psychology. Says she wants to help other kids deal with family dysfunction. I'm proud of her for turning this nightmare into something positive. She's even dating this kid named Alex, who seems decent enough, polite, has a job, shows up when he says he will. Basic stuff, but apparently that's hard to find these days. I still give him the death stare when he picks her up because that's my fatherly duty. Maya rolls her eyes every time, but I catch her smiling. She knows I'm just looking out for her. We've had some hard conversations, Maya and me, about trust, about family, about making mistakes and moving forward. She apologized probably 100 times in the first month. For lying, for siding with Ashley and Blake, for saying Blake was a better father. I told her I forgive her, but we're doing things differently now. She contributes to the household, does her own laundry, cooks dinner a couple nights a week, follows the rules I set. And in return, I'm more present, more involved, less focused on just grinding at work, and more focused on actually being there. It's a trade-off that works for both of us. She's dealing with everything through weekly sessions that are helping her process what happened. The whole experience really messed with her head. She went from thinking her parents had it all figured out to watching everything explode. Then she got caught up in Ashley's fantasy, only to discover it was built on lies. Now she's trying to figure out what's real and what's not. It's heavy stuff for a 16-year-old, but she's handling it better than most adults would. Last weekend, she asked about her mother. They talk occasionally, but Ashley hasn't been consistent about visiting. Maya wants to know if I ever miss her. I think about it while we're making dinner together. Tell her honestly that I miss who I thought she was. But that person never really existed. So no, not really. Maya nods, seems to understand. Then mentions Ashley keeps asking about me, whether I'm seeing anyone. I chuckle. Tell her to inform Ashley to worry about her own love life. Speaking of which, I have been seeing someone. Nothing serious yet, but it's promising. Her name's Nicole. She's a project manager for one of the companies that hires my electrical crew. We met on a job site when she called me out for using the wrong gauge wire. Turns out they changed the specs and nobody told me. She was right. Nicole's smart. Doesn't take any nonsense. Makes me laugh. And she's completely different from Ashley in every way that matters. She's also been divorced, so she understands the baggage, the trust issues, the hesitation to dive in again. We're taking it slow. She's met Maya a couple times, just casual dinners. Maya likes her, which is a relief. Ashley still tries to contact me occasionally, mostly about practical things, tax documents, questions about health insurance for Maya. But sometimes she tries to get personal, asks how I'm doing, if I'm happy, if I ever think about what we had. I keep it strictly business. There's no going back, and honestly, I don't want to. I ran into Ashley's parents at Maya's school concert last month. It was awkward at first, but her dad Robert shook my hand, told me I'm a good father, better than they gave me credit for. It wasn't quite an apology, but it was something. They'd bought into Ashley's version of events initially, but seeing how everything played out, seeing Maya thriving with me while Ashley struggles, they get it now. As for Blake, I heard through the grapevine that he violated the restraining order and spent time behind bars. Can't say I'm broken up about it. A year ago, if you'd told me my wife would leave me for another man and my daughter would be complicit in hiding it, I'd have said it would destroy me completely. And for a while, it nearly did. But here I am, still standing. Stronger maybe than I was before. Life didn't just go on, it got better. Not in some movie montage where everything's perfect kind of way, but in a real way where your chest doesn't feel like it's caving in every time you walk through your own front door. The silence in my house used to feel like screaming. Now it just feels like peace. Maya and I are solid now. Real solid. That took time and some brutally honest conversations, but we found our way back. She's got this crazy level of emotional maturity now. Tells me she wants to study psychology, so she can help other kids deal with the stuff most families barely talk about. That's her calling. She's got the heart for it. Ashley's still out there making Ashley choices. Last I heard, she's dating some guy from a car dealership who wears too much cologne and says bro, unironically. Maya meets up with her every few weeks for lunch or whatever. I let them have their space. I've got no energy left to police that dynamic. It's not my circus anymore. Not my monkeys. And me? I'm doing fine. Better than fine, actually. Nicole moved in a little while ago. She's nothing like what I thought I needed, and somehow exactly what I do. We keep it simple. She makes Maya laugh, and that alone earns her serious points in my book. We sold the house recently, wrapped up all the paperwork, and walked away from all the ghosts that came with it. Even split the profits with Ashley. Call it a business transaction in the name of sanity. I don't regret how I handled the divorce. You don't fight a forest fire with a squirt gun. When someone's torching your life, you grab the hose and bulldoze the burnt leftovers. Clean slate. Zero apologies. The divorce was finalized months ago. The house is sold. Ashley got her half, which she probably blew on whatever new fantasy she's chasing. I took mine and invested it. Put some toward Maya's college fund. Used the rest as a down payment on a place for Nicole and me. Something smaller, more manageable. Maya's got her own room there. Decorated it herself. Has sleepovers with her friends. Does her homework at the kitchen table while Nicole and I make dinner. It's normal. It's stable. It's everything that was missing from the chaos Ashley created. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.